Let's see. Okay. Oops. So just a little bit about me, if you don't already know who I am one of the dietitians at NBC. We do have another dietitian. Her name is Kelly, and some of you may have already interacted with her. So anytime throughout pre or post-op, feel free to call or email either of us. If you've already been getting information from Kelly and already have a relationship with her, continue to work with her. So I have been in the weight loss industry. Well, first let me back up. I have my master's degree in dietetics. I am a registered dietitian and a certified health coach. I have basically my specialty has been in the weight loss industry, and then over the last 10 years, more than 10 years, I've specialized in bariatrics. So I pretty much have only worked with bariatric patients the last 10 years. Um, I'm a certified NLP practitioner, or that's neuro-linguistic programming. This is looking more at the mind-body connection. So as many of you might know, you've been on diets before and you can know what to eat, but then we have that emotional connection to food. And NLP allows for me to work with you on the emotional attachment that you may have with food. I got into actually nutrition, mind body work, all of that really to help myself. I was morbidly obese at one time. I did not have bariatric surgery, but my background is food addiction and binge eating. So, for most of what you guys are going through, I've been there and definitely understand. I would write my email down. Any This is being recorded, and it will be posted probably on Monday for you guys to be able to review. But just in case you have any questions, go ahead and write my email down, so you have that somewhere. Alrighty. The other thing I want to say actually before we get started, I have a bunch of videos on the MBC website that goes over pre and post diet, vitamins, hair loss. I have a bunch of videos on there that would be very helpful. So anytime, you feel like, oh, you forgot something or you need to go back and review it again, you will have access to this, but you could always go back and watch the video as well. And all of those are on the MBC site. So the first thing I want to look at is vitamins after surgery. Um, you guys have to understand you're going from the size of a flattened football to the size of your thumb and then it'll expand to the size of a small egg. And if you're getting sleeve, it's the same size, it's just elongated, longer, more like a banana shape. But the thing is your intake is so minimal, especially the first year after surgery. So it's really important that because your intake is so minimal that you get really good vitamins. So these are just some of the things that happen. I've worked with people where they don't take their vitamins, they can't get in the food, and I've just seen all of this. And some of it, like hair loss, a lot of times you won't see hair loss until 6 months after. It takes a while. So the deficiencies kick in. You don't know. You think everything's fine, and the next thing you know, your hair, you're having problems with your hair, and it takes a while to get back. You can't stop this right away. The other thing is, it's like osteoporosis. There's no signs or symptoms of that. So again, you can be being malnourished. You're not going to feel it per se, and you don't find out until it's too late. And some of this stuff is not reversible. You can stop it from getting worse, but you can't reverse the damage that you've done. So the one thing with bariatric surgery is knowing that you're going to have to take bariatric vitamins, or if you can find something comparable, most people cannot. So this is one area you definitely do not want to, try to find your cheapest version. So some of the things, B12 deficiency, um, So after surgery, mostly like with a sleeve or gastric bypass, um, we need B12. I mean, we need what's called intrinsic factor for B12 to be absorbed, and that's either being bypassed or that part of the stomach is being removed in the sleeve. So you cannot absorb the B12 anymore. So you might look at your multivitamin and say, well, it has B12 in it. Why do I need to take more? Well, because you're not absorbing it. So it absolutely has to be sublingual, which means you put it underneath the tongue, um, or in nasal spray or in injections. So these are the three options you have for taking B12 after you've had surgery, bariatric surgery. And B12 a little bit, this is where nerve damage can occur. This is one of your primary sources of energy. So if you're not getting it, you can really feel tired, feel sluggish, especially if you're somebody who is going into surgery with diabetes or heart disease. You really don't want to mess around with B12. Iron deficiency, you see this more with gastric bypass patients. Um, but you can get anemia, and again, you can, it's going to cause you to feel tired. If you're getting the sleeve, I would just go with the regular multivitamin. You do not need additional iron if you're getting sleeve, unless you're somebody who is starting out and you're already anemic. So if you're already anemic, then you will need the additional iron, but if you're not, just take the regular multi and that has some iron in it. Calcium. With calcium, you want to make sure you get citrate. There's calcium carbonate or calcium citrate. You will not absorb or break down the calcium carbonate, so you want to make sure you get the citrate. What do I want to say? Oh, and with vitamins, after surgery, not just with vitamins, but with food as well, you have a hard time swallowing. So you really want a chewable vitamin for the first 6 months to a year. Afterwards, some people don't have a problem with swallowing, but at the beginning, for sure, you want to make sure you have a chewable. So this is what it's going to look like, you guys, if you're having gastric bypass. Really, the only difference is you'll get the additional iron. But regardless of the surgery that you're getting, for sure you need all of these. So you're going to get your bariatric specific multivitamin, and you'll take that in the morning. Well, I'll break that down in a minute. So you're going to have your bariatric specific vitamin. You need calcium citrate, which we talked about. You're going to take in a minimum of 1,500 milligrams a day. So the bariatric specific ones come in 500 milligrams. So you'll take those with each meal. You need vitamin D3. I will tell you, bariatric specific vitamins the calcium has D3 already in it, so that alleviates one vitamin, which is great. The less vitamins you have to take, it's always better. So I would look for a calcium citrate that has the D3 in it. You need the B12, the sublingual, 500 micrograms. B1, thiamine, you need 100 milligrams. The only place you're ever going to find 100 milligrams of thiamine is in a bariatric specific vitamin. The other great thing is these do come in capsules, but they are super, super tiny. Again, you won't find capsules this small in a regular drugstore. It's made specifically for bariatric patients. And then you need a digestive enzyme. Like I said, you guys are not going to have the digestive enzymes anymore, so you need help. And if you're not taking the digestive enzymes, a lot of times one of the side effects is you get nauseous, you may have diarrhea, because you don't have the ability to break down the foods. So it's important for you to get a digestive enzyme. Okay. Let's see. So let's look over. So you have surgery, and you'll start phase 1, clear liquids, right in the hospital. They'll give you some juice and stuff. So basically the first phase, the only thing you care about is resting, letting your body rest, because you just went through a major surgery, and to stay hydrated. That is literally your only option or your only goal to rest your body. And if you were eating and stuff, eating a lot of foods, your body has to, again, work to break that down. We don't want your body to work. We want it to rest. But we also need you to stay hydrated. So this is why you're on clear liquids, just to get the hydration in. Clear liquids is basically anything you can see your hand on the other side. It's transparent. You're going to be on this from 5 to 7 days. So at 5 days, if you feel like you can easily get in 64 ounces and you're actually like, man, I'm kind of feeling hungry, you do not need to wait the 7 days. Go ahead and move to phase 2. So it's not easy to sip afterwards. You're not going to feel like drinking anything. You're not going to feel like eating anything for the first couple of days. It's really important that you sip all throughout the day. Your goal is 64 ounces, but to prevent dehydration, minimum of 48. As long as you get 48 ounces in, you're fine. Now, so cold, anything cold tends to irritate the pouch, and then it's going to cause you to not want to drink more. So you don't want to put anything in the fridge. If you're going to drink water or any type of flavored drinks, leave them out at room temperature. It's easy to get down. And another thing that will help is any warm fluids like herbal teas or your broths, like your soup broth, help actually relax the stomach muscles. So first thing in the morning to relax your stomach muscles, I'd go ahead and have an herbal tea, or because herbal tea is naturally decaffeinated, or doing some sort of like vegetable broth or chicken broth or something. And then all throughout the day, like every other drink, I would have something warm, again, to keep those muscles relaxed. It's really going to help you get those fluids in, because we do not want you to end up in the hospital because you're dehydrated. It's really important. Recommendations, again, things at room temperature or warm. Any type of broth, it does not matter what type it is. Regular sodium, low sodium, it really doesn't matter. I will tell you guys, they do fill you up with water and with surgery. So sometimes you come home heavier than when you left. This is normal. It is not real fat weight. It is water weight. Some people let go of this water and air, and they fill you up with air too. So you're going to have gas, a lot of like maybe mini burps, but with the weight, just remind yourself it's water weight, and it will come down in time as you release the water. Vitamin water, like your vitamin water or your Sobe Life water, the reason I recommend these is because they're flavored with stevia versus sugar substitutes. A lot of people have an adverse effect with sugar substitutes. It causes them to have diarrhea. So you might want to be careful of that. Unsweetened herbal teas. Decaffeinated tea is not the same as herbal tea. Herbal tea is naturally decaffeinated. Sugar-free Jell-O and popsicles. Remember, these are pretty much pure garbage. There's no value to eating them. So I'm not recommending that you do, but you can if you feel like you just need something. Absolutely no carbonated beverages whatsoever. If you do like regular juice, dilute 50-50 with water, because again, sugar can cause diarrhea. You don't want to do more than about 10 grams of sugar at a time. So if you take a regular juice, which has about 28 grams of sugar, you know, if you do, I mean, you can even do something like 60-40, but if you do 50-50, you're still getting 14-15 grams of sugar in that one serving. So basically anything you can see your hand through. Sip throughout the day. Again, you may not feel like drinking, but you need to drink. These are, like I said, vitamin water, or I really like Honest Kids if you can find it. Honest Kids only has 10 grams of sugar per serving. But again, if you get regular juice, then just dilute it. A lot of people ask me about Gatorade. Gatorade was specifically made for athletes, somebody who's profusely sweating. and they need the electrolytes back, near their electrolytes back in. So unless you're running a marathon, you do not need Gatorade. Now, if it's something you've already bought, like if you've already planned and bought it, do like a quarter of a cup of Gatorade to rest water, just for the flavor, because you do not need all that sugar. Okay, so you're on clear liquids for 5 to 7 days. As you pay attention, whether you hit 5 days or 7 days, but when you're ready, you move to the next phase. How do you know you're ready to move to phase 2? You can easily drink 64 ounces of fluids with no problems, and you almost feel like you might be a little bit hungry. That's when you know to move on to phase 2. If you cannot get in at least 48 ounces of fluids, then you're not ready for phase 2. So phase 1 is all about staying hydrated. Once you can easily get your 48 ounces in, preferably 64, and you feel like you're ready for phase 2, then you move on. Now phase 2 is called thick liquids. Now you have a next goal to work on. Goal 1 is hydration. Goal 2 is protein. So you want to know how many grams of protein that you need. How you would do that is you take your, and you might want to write this down, but you take your ideal weight, so whatever you want to weigh, and you divide by 2.2. And that's how many grams of protein you specifically need. You take your ideal weight, what you want to weigh, and divide by 2.2. Now, as you go along and you're working out and you want to build muscle, you can take your ideal weight, divide by 2.2, and then times that by 1.2. And that will give you a range of where you need to be, from minimum to ideal for building muscle. So, usually it ends up being somewhere between 60 and 90 grams. Most of you will probably be more like 80 or 90, but minimum. So if you're somebody like, oh my God, you calculate your protein and you're like, there's no way I can get that in right now. Minimum grams is protein. I mean, minimum grams is 60 grams. So this would be step 1. Step 1 is really work on getting 60 grams. Once you can easily do that, then you can work up to what is recommended for you. The way it works is you're still on liquid, but when you're doing your protein powders, you want to make sure your protein has at least 20 grams of protein. Look for something that's somewhere between 20 and 40 grams. Anytime you go over 40 grams, you're not absorbing it, so it's a waste of money. And you want, whatever your protein intake is, you want less than half that in sugar. So if you have a 20 gram protein shake, it has to have 10 grams of sugar or less. And this I need to change this. This says carbohydrates, but it's sugar. Don't worry about the carbohydrates. You want to mainly look at the sugar content. Some people don't like the taste of protein powders, so they use yogurt instead. If you're going to use yogurt for your shakes, you really want to do plain Greek yogurt if you can. Why? Plain Greek yogurt has 20 grams of protein and 7 to 9 grams of sugar, whereas a lot of your yogurts have 5 to maybe 12 grams of protein, and usually they have more sugar than protein. Where your Greek yogurts, and the fact that they're plain, you're going to get your highest source of protein and the lowest amount of sugar. If you're like, I absolutely cannot have plain Greek yogurt, and go ahead and write this down, I recommend doing it's from Dannon, and it's called 000. It's flavored with stevia instead of sugar substitutes, and it's got, I think, about 9 grams of sugar, if I'm right, but 15 grams of protein. You never want to get a protein drink or a yogurt that has more sugar than protein. This is the phase that you're going to begin your vitamins on phase 2. Because bariatric vitamins are strong, you need food in your body to be able to tolerate the vitamins. What I recommend doing is getting on thick liquids 2 or 3 days, then start your vitamins. Let's get some real nutrients in your body first. A lot of times people will start the vitamins the same day they start the thick liquids when they don't really have anything in their system, and they end up getting sick and feeling nauseous. So wait a few days, be on thick liquids for 2 or 3 days, make sure you can get your protein in, then start your vitamin regimen. We recommend avoid using a straw because your pouch is so small to begin with. It's really easy to take in air when you suck through a straw, and it causes severe cramping. So to prevent that, because you guys have a hard enough time as it is getting fluids and getting your, even and then even getting your food in when it's time. So we don't want to cause any more complications that are going to already come, or cause any type of pain. So for the first, I'd say 3 to 4 to 6 months, you definitely do not want to use a straw. So at this phase, remember, no sodas. This is really important. Sodas are a never again. And you hear people, you read on some posts on different sites that people open their soda out and let it go flat and they still drink it. If you're in that type of space, you're not ready for surgery. You're just not. I mean, you got to be ready to let go of certain things. Soda is so toxic and so bad for the body, and it creates an extremely acidic environment. So it's the one thing that you have to let go of for the rest of your life, and believe me, it's far, far worth it. Um, what's really popular right now is drinkable yogurts. Makes it easy. You cannot have these. Drinkable yogurts are loaded with sugar. It's really important for you guys to read, before you put anything in your mouth, read the label. If it has more sugar than protein, you don't want it. I mean, it's not worth it. And a lot of times you think that they're like, marketing gets pretty good. It's like, there's popular right now, these naked drinks, and they look and sound so healthy. They have as much sugar in them as a soda. So just because they look healthy, they sound healthy, they have a naked, like they have a nice label to them, doesn't necessarily mean they're healthy. You gotta read the food labels. So basically, in thick liquids, you can take all your clear liquids. This is where you're going to add your protein powders. Because remember, phase 2 is all about focusing on not only staying hydrated, but now adding your protein in. You can start to do soups at this time. I recommend doing more like your higher protein soups, like making your own chicken soup and then blending it up, or vegetables, chicken and vegetable, or bean soups. Uh, I would stay away from cream soups at the beginning. One, they're high in fat. There's really no nutritional value. And again, a lot of times people do diarrhea causes, or higher fat soups or higher fat foods cause diarrhea. Again, the first month we have to be very, very careful of what we're taking in. We do not want to promote diarrhea, so you have to be really careful of that. You can do clear liquid proteins. I only recommend clear liquid proteins if you're somebody who can barely keep anything down, because they're not thick, and so they're easy to drink, so you can at least be getting some sort of protein in. Sugar-free puddings and with added protein. So you can take an unflavored protein isolate and you can add that in your soups, you can add that in your pudding, and you pretty much add it in anything. Okay, so phase 1 is hydration. Phase 2, which is 5 to 7 days to 2 weeks, is adding in the protein. Now we're in phase 3, which we're going to start to actually eat soft foods. This is 2 weeks. You can at least 1 week, somewhere between. You're going to go from 2 to 21 days, or you can stay on it for a month if you want, just depending on how you feel. These are guidelines, you guys. It's very, very important for you guys to pay attention to your body. I want you to be mindful. I want you to listen to your body. Your body's going to be the best judge of when you're ready to move to the next phase. This is the phase you start to weigh your scale. If you do not have a digital scale, you need to buy one. It is very important to weigh your food. You are going to be eating food based on ounces. So long term, you're eating 6 ounces of food 3 times a day plus 1 protein shake. With this, you want to start with 1 food at a time to see what you can and cannot tolerate. It's very important. I would try all new foods at home to see first how you do with them. So to begin with, you know how I said long term is 6 ounces of food at 1 meal? First, your first goal is 4 ounces 3 times a day. You may not be able to do that. If you're already on the Facebook support page, you may see some people saying, oh, I can only get 2 ounces of food in. If you're only eating 2 ounces of food, that's 2 meals. So what I would do is weigh out 4 ounces of food and then eat half, and then 2 hours later eat the other half. So if you can only get 2 ounces of food in, then that means you're eating 6 times a day. Or you may want to do 2 protein shakes to get, because you can add in extra protein, you could add some fat in and kind of sip that throughout the day in between your meals, of course. This is the phase where you start the 30-20-30 rule again. You're not drinking with your meals. So prior to phase 3, it's all liquids anyways. Some people still like if they're drinking a protein shake on phase 2, they still like to keep it. Again, it's a training of the mind, so they still keep that as a meal. They say, okay, or if it's soup, so they still practice the 30-20-30 rule just because they want to stay in that mind frame of not drinking with their meals. So that's up to you. But for sure on phase 3, when you start weighing your food, you'd get back to the 30-20-30 rule. Now on phase 2, we already talked about this. So with this phase 3, even though the foods are soft, this is where you start to practice chewing. This is where you have to be really, really mindful. So you want to slow down. You want to take really small bites, like the size that would fit on a really small baby spoon. You don't necessarily have to use a baby spoon, and do not use baby food. I see people post like they've got their preparation ready, and I see all this type of baby food. Baby food, first of all, is got a lot of garbage in it. And 2, baby food is made for babies. It is not made for an adult. So do not buy baby food, please. You're working on your protein. And the other big thing, you guys, your intake is so minimal. This last bullet on the end, this is really important because you guys have spent your life, or a big period of your life, on diets. So you're always looking for fat-free, low-fat stuff. Stop doing that. With the bariatric surgery, you need to do the real deal. So if it has lower fat in it, that just means it's got added sugar or sodium or something else to make it taste better. You need the additional fat. You need the calories. Now, things like cakes, muffins, pastries, fried foods, like your trans fatty acids, no, you don't need those, but whole, regular, so you're going to do regular cottage cheese and regular yogurt. You don't need to buy the fat-free anymore because you're going to need those additional calories. So this is where you're going to start things like scrambled eggs, anything that's soft, any cottage cheese or ricotta cheese, beans that are pureed, string cheeses that you can, peel off, the soft tofu, basically anything you can mush up. Your yogurts you can do, again, I'd prefer you do Greek yogurts, Chobani and Fage. Look for brands that are free of bovine growth hormone. You can do like your canned chicken, do eggs, shrimp salad. You can do canned salmon. You can mix a little bit of your non-fat Greek yogurt or regular Greek yogurt to make like a chicken salad. Again, that'll help soften it up. And of course, you're already doing your protein isolate. So even things like tilapia, you know, anything where you can take a fork and mush it, it's going to be fine. Vegetables, again, things that you can mush up. So if you're able to get your 3 ounces of protein in, then you can add 1 ounce of something else, whether it be avocado that you mush up or green beans that you mush up. But you can start to add vegetables at this phase as well. But it's important that you get your 3 ounces of protein first before you add anything else. So this would be kind of like a sample meal plan. You could do like, and just to give you what 4 ounces looks like, it may take you a while to get to 4 ounces, but just so you have an idea, and I'd make it up, get 4 ounces and see what you can do. So 4 ounces so 2 eggs is 3 ounces, and then 1 ounce of melted cheese on there, that's 4 ounces. You could do that for breakfast. Lunch might be like a half a cup of refried beans, and again, 1 ounce of melted cheese. Dinner could be a half cup of cottage cheese and then maybe some fruit in there. But and then you're doing 3 meals and 1 protein shake. So once you're on soft solids, you're doing 3 meals. Your goal is 4 ounces of food and then an additional protein shake per day. Now, everybody's different. If you find out you can eat more than 4 ounces, that's great too, because you want to, your goal is 6 ounces of food. You don't want to go over 6 ounces of food, but that's your goal. You can also do things like oatmeal. So if you want to take like an oatmeal and use like almond milk, unsweetened almond milk, you could add protein powder in there, you know, a cream of wheat, things like that you can do as well. But oatmeal is a pure carbohydrate, so again, you want to add some of that unflavored protein isolate. What I would do is make your oatmeal and then take a little bit of almond milk and mix in like a scoop of protein powder in there, let it dissolve, then add it into the already cooked oatmeal. Because if you try to heat up protein, some of it's going to be denatured, so you're not going to absorb all of it. Same thing with the soups. Cook your soup, take a little bit of a broth or a little bit of almond milk, depending on what type of soup you're doing. Dissolve the protein powder and add it into the heated soup instead of cooking it. So at 1 month and beyond, so somewhere between 21 days and 30 days, you're going to be moving to just regular food. Again, you still got to cut your food up. You want to make sure you're getting, this is where you're slowly going from 4 ounces to 6 ounces. Your goal is 6 ounces of food. In that 6 ounces of food, you want 3 ounces to be protein, 1 ounce of a healthy fat, and then you have 2 ounces to play with. At the beginning, you're going to be doing easy, non-fibrous vegetables, fruits, some soft fruits like applesauce and stuff, maybe some soft sweet potato. But long term, you can work up to, because a lot of times people think, oh, carbohydrates are bad. This is not a no carb diet. The bariatric meal plan is all about balance. So if you want to do a chicken wrap and do a 1 ounce tortilla, that's totally fine. Carbs are not bad for you. Long term, if you want to add a little bit of some sweets back into your diet, again, but it's a part of the 2 ounces. If this really is the beauty of bariatric surgery. You make sure you have 3 ounces of protein, 1 ounce of healthy fat, and then 2 ounces you can play with, plus your 1 protein shake a day. That's ideally long term what you're going to be doing. Some of the same things, but basically, you just slowly will add foods back in, add one new food at a time. Again, try it at home first. Make sure you're cutting your food up when possible to pea-sized bites and really chewing really well. Things that are hard to, hard to tolerate, hard to get down, easily to get stuck is red meats. Not that you can never have them, but for the first 4 to 6 months, I'd stay away from things like bacon, sausage, salami, bologna, pastrami, and pepperoni, and some hot dogs, not all. These are fats, and they're saturated fats. So again, you can cause diarrhea if you take in too much fat or too much sugar at one time. So you want to be mindful of that. Again, the first 4 to 6 months, I would stay away from these things, unless you want to get like an all beef hot dog or something. The other things that get stuck really easy are things like bread, regular bread, rice, pasta, anything that's gummy. It gets gummy and it expands, and so it gets stuck really easily and can be very, very uncomfortable. Things that you can have, Ezekiel bread. Why Ezekiel bread? Because Ezekiel bread is made from sprouts. It has about 5 grams of protein in it. Again, when it has protein and fiber in it, the bread is less gummy, less likely to get stuck. The other thing you can do is toast it. When you toast it, again, um, it's less gummy. Any type of tortilla is fine because it's flat. It doesn't get gummy. Crackers are hard. Oatmeal is fine. Sweet potatoes. Quinoa, the last one, is a great alternative to rice. Same thing. Quinoa, rice doesn't really have any protein in it, maybe like 1 gram or so if you're getting the whole grain, but quinoa has 5 or 6 grams, of protein. So again, it's going to be less. It's healthier, lower on the glycemic index, but it's much easier to swallow. Fats are very, very important. Once you get to phase 4, remember phase 1 is hydration, phase 2 is getting your protein in, and phase 3 and 4 is increasing your calories. So as quickly as you can, you want after phase 2. So once you start at phase 3, you really want to work on increasing your calories, because a lot of you, if you're not paying attention, you're getting probably 300-400 calories in, maybe 500. You want to get in a minimum of 800 calories. If you're getting in less than 800 calories long term, you go into what they call starvation mode. It can hinder your weight loss. It's going to make you lose muscle. It just slows everything down. So having the least amount of calories is not always the best thing. So the best way you can do this is through healthy fats. So like avocados, olives, nuts. And nuts are a little bit hard to take in at the beginning, so you might hold off on these. Like any type of oil, like grapeseed, olive, coconut oil. And this stuff is so one, it's going to help you get your calories up. I add coconut oil right to my protein shakes. I always cook with, if I'm doing vegetables, I'll always add, oil to my vegetables. Things I know in the past, because you were trying to cut calories, you can throw in a half avocado. You can throw that right in with your shake. It'll just make it creamier. But you want to make sure you get your fats in, because this is the only way you're going to get your calories, by adding healthy fat. Now, we already talked about this, but fats to minimize all your trans fatty acids. So fried foods, things like the bacon, the sausage, salami, things like that. Miracle Whip and mayonnaise. You can use plain Greek yogurt instead of mayonnaise and Miracle Whip. Salad dressings, you can use them, but be mindful. Sour creams. If you're going to use margarine or butter, I would use butter. Again, you always want to look for your purest, least manufactured option. Some people are lactose intolerant. Actually, a lot of people are lactose intolerant after gastric bypass and sleeve. So we just say don't use dairy products. The reason you can do milk is because, the reason you can do yogurt is because it has natural bacteria in it, and the natural bacteria break down the lactose or the lactase, which is the milk. The lactase is what you need to break down the milk sugar, and which is lactose. So many of you guys don't have that enzyme anymore, or it's low. So you can get away with doing yogurt because in yogurt, the bacteria does the same thing that the lactase does. But most of your dairy products you want to stay away from, like milk and stuff. That's why we recommend doing like almond or coconut milk and making sure it's the unsweetened version. How you know, you'll feel a lot of bloating, gas, diarrhea. If you notice you're doing any type of dairy and this is happening, more than likely you have a lactose intolerance. Alcohol, you want to be really careful after surgery. You know, I see posts on Facebook all the time about when can I drink alcohol. If you really need to be eating your 6 ounces of food 3 times a day, easily getting that in with no problems. Um, and then if you want to have, you know, something, as long as you don't overdo it. Again, everything in moderation long term. The balance is what you're looking for. But I would not be bringing alcohol back into your meal plan until you can get in your nutrients first, which is being able to eat the 6 ounces of food 3 times a day. Constipation is common after surgery. You guys have to remember your intake is drastically decreased. So the less that goes in, the less that's going to come out. So that's the first thing. Second, a lot of times people are just not drinking their fluids because it hurts to swallow sometimes. You got to do your best to get your 48 ounces of fluids in. But if you're constipated, normally the first thing you can do is drink more. Also, your diet is low in fiber at the beginning because fiber bulks up and helps you feel fuller faster. Well, you have this little tiny pouch, so we don't want you to feel fuller faster. If you can't get in 6 ounces of food, then we don't want the fiber in your diet. So at first, you're on a low fiber diet. Again, as time goes on, this is going to balance out, but the first couple months, you're not going to be eating food, you know, the foods that are higher in fiber. And then exercise, walking on a daily basis. The first 6 months, you're not supposed to do any type of exercise other than walking, but walking is really good. So staying hydrated as you can, increasing your fiber, and of course being active are going to be the top 3 things to help you with constipation. Now at the beginning, you may have to use a stool softener. That's fine, but you do not want to rely on them. This is important because it will make your colon lazy. Diarrhea, the opposite of constipation, is also another side effect. This is usually coming, these are the trigger foods. So again, this can put you in the hospital, so don't wait to take care of this. You can call or email us to let us know if this is happening. One, I will tell you, if you had a high-fat diet before surgery, even though you're supposed to be on pre-op, let's say you just went off and went crazy, diarrhea is going to occur afterwards because you do not have the digestive enzymes to break down that fat. So just know if you kind of do a binge, which we do not recommend, you might have severe diarrhea afterwards, and that's just a consequence of your choices. And hopefully it goes away sooner than later, because we've had, you know, you end up in the hospital because you're dehydrated. So if you see this happening, just call us right away. Other trigger foods, like I said, fatty foods, your dairy products cause it, sugar substitutes cause it. So you even have to look at your sugar-free popsicles, your sugar-free Jello, the protein powder you bought. You have to look at all that, and you may have to change it all if you're experiencing diarrhea. And then berries, again, sorbitol causes you to have diarrhea, and berries have that, or a lot of things with like sugar alcohols and stuff, so you have to be careful of that. So a lot of times you'll see your low sugar candies or diabetic products have sugar alcohols in it. Again, they will, if you take in too many of those, they'll cause diarrhea. If you're changing your diet and that's not helping, you can do Imodium. That will definitely help with the diarrhea. A probiotic is very, very important. That's going to for sure help. So taking a probiotic, I recommend 50. Well, it's not even me, but the research shows that to get really a good effect from the probiotic, you need a probiotic that has at least 50 billion units, 50 billion. I like the brand called Raw, R-A-W. So You need a vegetarian digestive enzyme. This is going to help break down your food because you do not have the digestive enzyme. So a lot of times people feel nauseous from the food or get diarrhea. The digestive enzyme is going to help prevent that. If you're doing all of this and it's still not working, you're going to want to call your primary care physician immediately. And again, this is not something you wait for. I mean, I'll get phone calls and like, oh my God, I've had severe diarrhea. Like usually it might even be after the fact. They've already went to the hospital because of dehydration. If this isn't changing within a day or two, like 2 days, you want to give us a call. Dumping syndrome usually happens with gastric bypass, but I'm seeing more and more sleep patients with it too. This is where if you eat anything high fat or high sugar, the fat and sugar dump straight into your system, causing you to get really sick. So usually it ends up being flu-like symptoms, but people usually only have this happen once or twice, and they don't want it to happen again. So again, just something to be careful of. And so you with this, you don't, again, not trying not to, being taking in fried foods or the muffins and cakes, cookies, anything that has trans fatty acids or any type of fried food or anything that has more than 10 to 15 grams of sugar. Once you go over 10 grams of sugar in one sitting, you prompt yourself to have dumping syndrome. So again, and it says down at the bottom, it says total carbs. It's really sugar. You want to make sure that you're under that 15 grams of sugar per meal. But if it's easier for you to follow the carbs, that's fine too, because sugar content is just a part of the total carbohydrates. So either way is fine. If you're not already a part of the Facebook support page, I would join. It's a private group. And not only is our entire staff on there, it's one of the fastest ways to get a hold of us because you can tag us in a question or PM us and we can quickly get back to you. You got the support of, lots and lots of other people that had surgery through us. So we're like one big happy family there. So I highly recommend that. It is private, so nobody's going to know. They can't see it in your feeds. The only people that know are the people that are actually in the group as well. And because you were on the webinar today, you can, they're giving away 20% off the vitamins. So the coupon code, that's the link. I would write that down, www.bariatricsurgeryvitamins.com. And when you're looking at them, when you're purchasing them, you can put in the coupon code SAVE20 today, and that will give you 20% off your vitamins. You will start taking your vitamins somewhere to, in that second week, 7 to 10 days after surgery, once you've gotten on phase 2 for a couple of days. We sell the bariatric vitamin Celebrate. The reason I recommend it and our team recommends it is because, one, they're bariatric specific, so we recommend bariatric specific vitamins only. And taste, by far the two favorite vitamins according to taste for bariatric patients is Bariatric Advantage and Celebrate. And the reason we choose Celebrate over Bariatric Advantage is because of what's in them. Bariatric Advantage is loaded with sugar substitutes, and again, one of the things that cause diarrhea after surgery is sugar substitutes, and Celebrate does not have sugar substitutes in them. So they're a pure form of vitamins. So that's it for the webinar. I'm going to go back over to the questions now, you guys, to see if you have any questions. Let's see. So Lawrence has a good question. He says, he's talking about hair loss. What about eating a lot of protein? And that's such a great question because people get so confused. So I do have a video, you guys, on the NBC site specifically for hair loss. I would highly recommend you watch that. It's just a couple of minutes. But I don't care how much protein and how, people start taking extra supplements, which I tell you which supplements to take. That's all hunky dory, but it's not going to do a darn bit of good unless you are getting in enough calories. So if your body is malnourished just according to calories, what happens is your body has to utilize calories to to function. And you'd think, well, gosh, why doesn't it just tap into my fat cells? Well, it does to some degree, but our bodies like to do the most efficient, the most easiest thing to do. To burn fat, to take fat out of your fat cells and turn it into energy takes a lot of work. So what your body says is says, okay, I'm going to do only the things that are efficient to maintain life. Hair, growing new hair is not essential for life. So it stops. So one thing you have to understand, I was cleaning out my brush the other day and I thought, God, I should take a picture of this because I see so many posts of hair loss. Like, oh my God, my hair, I'm losing all this hair. We lose hair every single day. All of us do, especially the longer your hair is, the more you lose. That's happened. You just didn't pay attention to it. The problem is honestly not hair loss. It's just you're not growing new hair back. We are constantly growing new hair follicles, so it's growing back and we don't notice it. So as you're brushing out your hair, that's not the problem. The problem is, are you growing it back? If you are not getting the 800 calories, it doesn't matter how much protein, biotin, vitamins you take, it's not going to help. Step one with hair loss is to prevent malabsorption. I mean, to prevent going into starvation mode. So you got to get your calories in, which is going to be your very first goal is 800 calories. Let's see. Somebody said they lost the sound. Hopefully you guys can hear me. Ashley, hopefully you can hear me. Linda's asking about chia seeds. Love, love, love chia seeds, you guys. Absolutely no for the first 6 months or so post-op. Why? Chia seeds expand 9 times their size. They make you feel fuller faster. I just told you guys can barely get your fluids in. You don't feel like eating. You do not want to do any type of fiber supplement early on because it fills you up. I want to make sure you can get your food in. Now, long term, once you are getting in your 3 meals at 6 ounces of food, you're getting your protein, your fat, you're drinking your shake every day, you're easily taking in 1,000 to 1,200 calories, no problem. If you want to add chia seeds back into your diet at that point, absolutely. Early on, you cannot do chia seeds though because you will not get your nutrients in. Somebody asked about B12, which one do I like? I don't really have a preference. It really depends. It depends on you guys. Some people just want to do a shot because if you get a shot, a lot of times you only have to do it once a week. But as long as it's sublingual, it doesn't matter which one it is. I mean, there's so many different brands out there. I mean, for B12, I do not have a recommendation. I do have preferences for the digestive enzymes, and I do have a preference for the probiotics, and I always share those. But for B12, I don't really have a preference. I let's see, I have seen a lot of people say they are cold after surgeries. Is that due to the low iron? No, not necessarily. People are, first of all, you're going to see a lot of people are losing 30 or 40 pounds before surgery. And then they drop weight really fast. The first month or so after surgery is people are dropping a lot of weight. You'll see people drop 15 to 30 pounds in the first month. So fat is an insulator. So you get cold really fast because you guys are not used to dropping that much fat. This is massive fat loss. Like rapid fat loss, and our bodies are not used to it, and fat is our insulator. So um, your body takes time to adjust to the fat loss, and because you're losing it so quickly, it takes a while for your body to get used to that. So that's the main thing with being cold after surgery, is the rapid fat loss. Any other questions, you guys, before we go? Remember to join the Facebook support page. Feel free to email me anytime with any questions. Take advantage of the 20% off the vitamins. You guys, I always tell people your intake is so minimal after surgery. Your grocery bill is going to drop drastically. The two areas you do not want to scrape on is your vitamins, getting a really good vitamin, and your protein powder. Very important. Well, if that's it, you guys, remember, if you guys are not on Facebook, this is being recorded. So it's going to be posted on Facebook probably on Monday. And but if you're not on Facebook, go ahead and email me so I can send you the recorded version, or send you a link to get to it. So I know you need it if you're not on Facebook. How do we find the recommended digestive enzymes and probiotic? Linda, I recommend, yeah, you can get at GNC, or you can go online. For the probiotic, I recommend a brand called Raw, RAW, but you need at least 50 billion units. That's you're going to notice a huge difference. I have so many people that say, "Oh, I'm using a probiotic," and then I have them go on to I have them change to 50 billion units, and they notice a drastic change. So it's really important that you get at least 50 billion units. And with the digestive enzyme, you just want to make sure it's vegan based, because it's softer on your system. It's not as harsh. That's why I recommend the vegetable based one. Now, NOW has a vegan based one, or oh my gosh, there's another one I really like. And I actually need to put some pictures of, let me see here. I'm always taking pictures of everything, but I need to, hold on, give me a minute. I always, let's look here. Oh, it's called, and this one this one's a really great one. It's called Defenzyme. It's DEFENZYME. This one's pretty amazing. It's vegan based. Defenzyme it is. And that's you can find that at the ultimatelife.com. Ultimate, ULTIMATE, the ultimatelife.com, or it might be .net actually. I think it's the ultimatelife.net if I remember. Yeah, the ultimatelife.net. What else do I want to tell you guys? I think that's it. Let's think. Let's see. One more question. Can we have no fat, sugar-free pudding in phase 2? Um, no, phase 2 you can have sugar-free puddings. Yeah, that's fine. You do need to wait. Can we have no? Yeah, no. You can have no fat, sugar-free pudding. Yes. Had to read that again. Yes, you can. But I would recommend adding some protein powder. You just want to be careful of like sugar-free puddings and sugar-free jellos. There's zero nutritional value. So if you're somebody who is not getting in your protein or your calories, then sugar-free jello and sugar-free pudding you should not be eating. That's kind of an added nothing. Like there's just nothing to it. So if you're going to either one, you got to make sure you're getting your calories and your protein before you add those in, or you need to add some sort of nutrient to it, like you add your protein powder to it. Oh, Ashley, you're so smart. You already said with added protein, of course. So yes, good job. That's so funny. Um, Yeah, so and Lawrence is saying that we sell the Celebrate Vitamins cheaper than Celebrate website, and yes, and then you'll get the added 20% off, which is really nice. So we just want to make sure, and we sell it in a package for you guys, so it's like you don't have to think about it. You get everything you need except for I will tell you the probiotic. We're working on a new package for you guys. Um, we're putting together probiotics right now specifically for you. But the vitamin package you get through us does not have the probiotic or the digestive enzyme in it. So you will still need to purchase that. Okay? So Linda's asking about the vitamins. We sell it in a 3-month sample. You're gonna for sure need the vitamins for at least a year. So this is a really good question. So it really everybody's different. Some people have no problems, but so once you have surgery, you guys need to schedule with your primary care physician blood work at 3, 6, 9, and 12. Very important. 3, 6, 9, and 12. You want to schedule these and you don't want to miss them because you want to catch any type of malabsorption as earlier than later. At 1 year, you guys can go back to your regular follow-ups. But the first year after surgery, blood work is checked 3, 6, 9, and 12 every 3 months. If you're it's hard to say because at 1 year when you're taking your blood work is going to be great because you're taking the bariatric vitamins. But for whatever reason, if you feel like you don't want to take them anymore, again, you got to keep up with that blood work. As long as your blood work is fine, which means you're getting a lot of your nutrients from your food, um, then it's fine to take a regular vitamin. But I wouldn't risk it for the first year, and then after that, you need to really still check your blood work. Make sure there's no deficiencies. Any other questions, you guys? Well, thank you so much for being on the call. Enjoy the rest of your holiday weekend, okay? And of course, remember to watch the videos on the NBC site. Join the Facebook support page if you're not already on. And that's it. Okay, have a great day, you guys. Bye.